Good morning. Today is 22nd of February, and I am live to discuss the recent meeting with Speaker Johnson and former President Donald Trump. And I believe that the fact that they are openly conspiring to um, influence the election in 2024 by Johnson sabotaging our economy, willing to sabotage our economy, the rights, and to deny voters once again the right to elect not only the president but members of the Senate and the House in the upcoming election by creating a economy or dysfunctional enough that people would think that Joe Biden did not deliver on his promises. And we can't let him win. We will never know how um, Trump was able to claim the White House against Hillary Clinton in 2016. But we can do all we can do now to stop him in 2024. And it's going to require all of us. And one of the things that the Democratic Party can and I believe should do ASAP is to um, give Black voters hope. A lot of Black voters, in my opinion, and I'm hoping that it's not the case, but they are not understanding how, when the Democrats were in control of the House and the Senate and the presidency, like, how is it that Trump and the GOP control the narratives and the airways with fear tactics, and we cannot, as a nation, remain silent or go back. Calling out racism, it is racist for, and I don't know what can be done, but the fact that Johnson is meeting with Trump after shutting down initially it was scheduled to be 2 weeks. I don't know if he stuck to that plan because his behavior is dependent on what the orders he get from Donald Trump. But he shut down the government and not shut down the government. He put Congress in recess. I think it was scheduled for 2 weeks. In the meantime, the whole world is on fire. Putin is the beneficiary of Trump and Johnson's current for lack of a better word, allegedly plotting to deny Biden and the Democrats, Biden's reelection and a Democrat gaining a larger majority in the Senate and taking back the House. And my plea is sort of self-serving, but absolutely necessary. If the Republicans and the Supreme Court can use and did use Donald Trump during the 4 years that he was in office, then surely the Democrats, without any necessary aid from any Republican or any voting, passing a bill in Congress and getting President Biden to sign, they can give Americans good news and give me peace and justice for democratic racism that caused me to lose my job and also I think it's still influencing my job at, I'll say go back a little, my job at the job and denial of entitled disability, retroactive disability retirement because of perjured declarations filed in federal court by New York State Attorney General's office. And at the time, the Attorney General was Eliot Spitzer. Since then, it's been Eliot Spitzer, Andrew Cuomo, and James. And no one has taken the opportunity to correct that miscarriage of justice. And if they did, because even though all this time that I have been pleading for justice, for the Democrat actions, I still worked on every campaign to elect Democrats because the parties are not the same. And the Democrats should demonstrate that. Use me. Show the world that, yes, you got it wrong. A New York State Attorney General, Assistant Attorney General Mike Russo, according to two FBI, Department of Justice, will they be attorneys? Attorneys. One was named, last name was Wolf. Reviewed my documentation and referred my case to the FBI for an investigation because of the perjured declarations filed by a Democratic New York State Attorney General Eliot Spitzer's Assistant Attorney General Mike Russo, who, if I have it correct, is still employed by Attorney James' office. He was as late as the beginning of 2023. Make me whole. And they can do that by giving me entitled disability retirement retroactively from the time I applied for retirement after they would not let me return back to work after I came back and they escorted me out like an inmate after I had been out on work-related, that their psychiatrists agreed and my Harvard-trained psychiatrist agreed was work-related. The first day back on the job, they escorted me out, and you're only escorted out if you've had a relationship with the inmate, facing serious disciplinary charges, or have committed a crime. My only crime that day was that I was a Black female who had worked as a supervisor of inmate grievance and was responsible for making sure that the facility followed correctional law. And I did that with good evaluations. Make me whole. Let's get out the vote. Let's win this thing in 2024 with a larger percentage of votes that's be too large to steal. More importantly, if Attorney General James is basking in her victory against Trump and the latest thing that I've heard, again allegedly, is that she is preparing to or willing to sell his real estate holdings to satisfy the amount of money that the judge ordered him to pay after he lost his case in New York. So isn't it time that James, Attorney General office, also pay for Mike Russo submitting perjury declarations, subordination of perjury, and filing and getting every declaration filed by him in my case contained perjury. And many of those declarations, if not all of them, were faxed to New York State Department of Correctional Services and civil service employees for them to sign those declarations. And that too is a crime. I'm almost certain that the statute of limitation has expired for them to be charged, but it hasn't expired for a governor, New York State Governor Hochul, and Attorney General James to correct this great miscarriage of justice that would help this nation. It would show to the world that Democrats are different than Trump. They're different than Republicans. And they would have someone who has worked on campaigns 2014, Harris County Democratic Party, 2016, 2018, doing volunteer work, 2020, paid position in North Carolina for Hillary Clinton, even though my first choice was Joe Biden. So Hillary, please take a stand now. You were going to use me in the first commercial coming out of North Carolina until you realized my opposition to you when you were a candidate against President Obama. But Black people don't have the luxury of deciding, like, okay, now she's not the candidate, or he's the candidate, or Hillary's the candidate. Now I can't support her because what she did to Obama. I knew it was just that important to work as hard as I could to try and get you elected. And this is going to be, I think, like a news. And it's possible that the campaign in North Carolina was allegedly had a person on the team that was not working for the best benefit of the Democrats, allegedly. But while James is celebrating, once again, I am begging for peace and justice. I'm tired of engaging. I'm tired. I'm 70. I just had a 70th birthday. And then if the Democrats wanted to, this would be a great get out the vote story. Because I've worked for 30 days, approximately 30 days for free an hour for President Biden because I knew he was the only candidate who could beat Trump. And I knew my divine purpose, which is to shed light on employment discrimination, and for that light to reveal that the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Title VII, needs to be amended again. And I don't know the logistics, but my thing is that so that one judge can't throw out those cases, but a well-written um, Title VII law will accomplish that. And that's why it was created. I have experienced employment discrimination from 1970, it would be 1975, 1976. I was the first African American to work in City Hall in Lakeland, Florida. And I left that position because I had been accepted to attend University of Florida for the fall semester of 1972. But I got married after getting pregnant the first time I attempted to have sex. And I was accepted based on my own merit, on the merit that if you made 300 on the Florida placement test, you could attend any state university in the state of Florida. So that January, I left my husband and my young son, William Keith Booker, who is a Marine, was a retired police officer, Rochester, New York, and he was murdered November in 2022. So I just want some justice. I just want some peace. And when I came back to Lakeland, I applied for a position with the Lakeland Police Department, and I was number 4 on the list, and they had maybe, I think, 10 people on the list, but they had to, by the law, they were supposed to interview 4, I should have been interviewed for a position with the police department. I did have the interview. I should have been hired for the police department, but I was not hired. I would have been the first Black female police officer in Lakeland, Florida. So my whole adult life has been dealing with employment discrimination. And my recent absolutely necessary attempt to work, and I did work because I only get I'm living off less than, I think it's still about two, it's 2000 now with the recent increases in my Social Security a month, as opposed to what I would be getting with retroactive disability retirement. And it would also help President Biden deliver on his promise that he made to me January 22nd of 2020, when he said that as president, he would amend both the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 as president. And he couldn't do it during the last Congress, but he can if we have a massive Black voters turnout. And calling out racism includes calling out African Americans when their behavior is anti Black. And one of those people is Charlemagne the God. So we need to counter people like that. He stated that he regrets endorsing President Biden in 2020. And he stated, what am I supposed to tell my listeners? A quick research revealed that he has approximately 3 million listeners. 3 million listeners. So that make you or put you in a position that you can determine who the nominee should be. Your 3,000 listeners, how many of them are registered to vote? How many of them are old enough to vote? So we have to counter these things. We need a rapid response so that the voters would know that you all are really trying. And you can do that. You should do that by making me whole. I've done my part. I'm tired, and I would never hurt myself. I would never hurt myself, but there are strange things that are happening. And I just want to enjoy the rest of my life. I want to be retired and at peace and let someone else continue to fight. And you can't hold Trump, Attorney General James cannot hold Trump accountable for his crimes and not hold her own staff person, who the last time I checked, Michael J. Russo was in charge of the Buffalo office. And if my case was one of the first cases he worked on when he became a assistant attorney general in Buffalo. And if he has been doing the same thing that he did with my case, lying in his own declaration, filing facts and perjured declarations, and one of the lies that he told that is so easy to demonstrate is because I was on workman's comp, I should not have been subjected to being terminated for my absence from work for work-related injury when I was receiving workman's comp, and I received workman's comp for years, for at least 5 to 10 years after my case was filed. And he stated that I was not receiving workman's comp. And I have a document from his office because a lawyer was interested in doing a case before I got the no probable cause ruling. And when I requested documents from Russo, because the state of New York had were losing employment discrimination cases, and when I couldn't get a lawyer, when I went to the courthouse to find out, because I knew of a case, a sergeant, Hispanic sergeant, that had won a case. He had an attorney, and the clerk said, if you know a case, I can give you that file for you to look at that. And that's how I modeled my complaint, my declarations, etc., by spending hundreds of dollars making copies of that file. And with that case, they paid Gonzalez $500,000, allegedly, and if my memory is correct about that. It was Gerald Gonzalez, and the incident was at his discrimination happened at Wendy Correctional Facility. So Hillary, President Biden, President Obama, Jeffries, Surah, and Madam Vice President Harris, please, please get the Democrats to give me justice and peace. Let me live the rest of my life. When I said I went back to work as for the Chesapeake School District after took me like 3 months to finally get hired as a substitute position, and I experienced employment discrimination there, but I was able to overcome it to get a job. And that latest experience resulted in that school, that school district mistreating the students that I had in my class. They denied them equal education opportunities in an effort to sabotage me. And I'm going to put the link to a couple of those videos. And because of my experience that I had with New York State, etc., I was documenting it's an at-will state, but I was documenting them violating, I would think, my rights, but definitely the students, those beautiful black and brown with a few sprinkled white students, right to a education for the 3 months that their science teacher, a male, was out on maternity leave. So I am, I'm going to say, I am totally due arrest so that I can take care of my personal health issues because of Obamacare. I, like many seniors, have great health insurance. And that's what I would like to be doing instead of begging and pleading with Democrats to live up to what we say we are. And it doesn't require any help from any Republican to get this done. That's the beauty of it. And that's why I finally believe, I believed it a long time, but I really believe that this is the time that is going to happen. Thank you very much. Make me whole. Give me entitled retroactive disability from the time I applied for it in 1996 to 2024 and get out the black vote in records numbers that would be too large for the Republicans to manipulate and or steal the election. Thanks.